You're always late. Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Oh, that's too bad. One more time. Good morning.
Good morning.
Exactly. So, welcome to the, what is year is it? 2017 Nordic Roasted Forum. We're really excited to have you here in Oslo. On behalf of the organizing committee, we can only say thank you for signing up. If you don't know who we are, we have what we call the circus director, Jens Nørgaard, who is kind of right behind this forum. We have a local organizer, Andreas from Nordic. We have our good friend Jens Henrik Thomsen, who is helping out with the sponsors and everything. And you probably know who I am, Tim Wendelbo from Oslo. A couple of information before we start the program. This morning you were all served, or not all of you, but if you had espresso, the espresso was from Supreme Roastworks. Thank you for sponsoring. And it's in the Novo Seminelli bar, so big hand for the sponsors there. Big hand. The pastries are actually from two different bakeries, from Kaffebrenneriet and Open Bakeri. Thank you. If you need to pee or poo, there's a toilet down there. Just ask the volunteers. And also, if you need to go out and in and so on, it's a little difficult because we need key cards. So just grab a volunteer and let them know where you need to go, and they will help you. Most of the volunteers have key cards, yeah? Yes. As always, your mom doesn't work here, so you have to clean up after yourself. So if you just put a cup down a place, that's not where it should supposed to be. Put it in the trash or wherever it belongs. Please help us keep this place tidy, because it makes everything run a lot smoother. I encourage you all to mingle, and at least for lunch today, you're not allowed to sit and talk to people you already know. Why? Because you need to get to know new people. And the good thing is, once you talk to that stranger, next time you meet him or her, you already know them. So that's how, mingling works. The Wi-Fi, please use that. We have upped the speed for it. But if you're Norwegian, don't use it during the cuppings. Very, very important. So Norwegians, no Wi-Fi during the cupping with the Cropster app. You gotta use the roaming kind of thing. The reason is, if everyone presses submit at the same time, everything crashes. Yes. Who has downloaded the Cropster app? Oh, let me rephrase it. Who hasn't downloaded the Cropster app? Aaron. I sent a mail to Cropster and Erik. Write down their email if you're gonna cup and give it to me. The dinner today, it says in the program, it's at 7:30. That's not true. It starts at 7 sharp. You have to be there at 7. And it's just a 10-minute subway ride and a 2-minute walk. So we will be able to go there before 7. There's flyers on the chairs where it's supposed to be. So yeah, just if you don't know how to get there, follow some Norwegians, they know. It's a small city. And the dinner is sponsored by Solberg & Hansen. Big hand for Solberg & Hansen. Right, thank you committee, you can go down.
Thank you.
Before we start the actual forum, I am going to talk a little bit about what has inspired me to make this program, because as you may have seen in the program, there's not a lot about roasting. Most of it is about green coffee. And the reason is, without the green coffee, we're not able to roast, or we could roast cashew nuts or something. But that's not so interesting. Look at this photo. This is taken 4 weeks ago at Finca Tamana. It's a little hard to see, but there's a road here, and there's some resistant varieties to the left, and non-resistant varieties to the right. This is how the resistant varieties look like. This is how the non-resistant varieties look like. So, these are Caturas. We are all into quality coffee, specialty coffee, and we tend to tell the farmers, I don't want you to plant hybrids because we like the Caturra flavor better, which is not always the case. On this farm, actually, the Castillos are tasting better than the Caturras, but the reason is quite obvious. There's no leaves on the trees, so there's no sugar production, so the cherries don't really ripen, although they turn red eventually. They are not really ripe. You can say, let's spray fungicides. Yeah, Elias has sprayed fungicides 7 times in 1 year on these ones, and different types of fungicides, and still the trees look like this. Next year, he won't have a production on these trees, so we'll just cut them down, and we're actually going to replant. So, I'm not going to tell you what to do in this forum, because I don't really know the recipe for what to do, but I'm hoping that the lecturers can inspire you to at least try to do something. We're going to hear a little bit about climate change. Okay. Yes. So we're going to hear a little bit about climate change today. We have some producers on stage. We're going to have a panel debate. And I highly encourage you to actually ask questions and involve yourselves in the debates, because that's the only way we can get better ideas on what we as small roasters in far away from a coffee farm, how can we actually help the coffee farmers to produce coffee. It's not about producing better coffee at this point. It's about how can they actually produce coffee. Very serious stuff. So, just think about that during the event. Try to think a little bit bigger than your little small roastery at Grünerløkka or wherever it is. And I'm not saying that everyone should go to Origin. I'm just saying try to at least figure out a way that you can help. It might be that you are actually changing your coffee bags to recyclable bags, because if we prevent climate change, you know, these problems will decline. Cool. So, I'm not gonna be a moralist anymore. So before we actually hear the first lecture, I'm gonna ask Morten Munchau. Where are you? Morten? Morten! Are you ready, Morten?
Yes.
Do you have the mic on you?
Yes, but it's also Beatrice.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, I can talk a little bit more. So, yes, we're also going to go through the Cropster Cup app. Has everyone tried it by now? Is there anyone who hasn't tried it? Yeah, so a couple of guys. So, Magnus, you're sitting next to Kaja. She's very good at using the Cropster app. So you can also talk to her, and she can show you how it works once you finally get it downloaded. And we're working on that. If you are having problems with the app, Andy from Cropster's telephone number is there. So bombard him with telephones. And if you're gonna do social media stuff, please use our hashtag Nordic Roaster Forum. And that's it. I will leave everything to Morten, I think. You want to hand them? Yes.
All right. So amazing to be here again. This morning I was just thinking that the first Nordic something was in 2004, which is some years ago. So there's been a lot of presentations and a lot of things going on for me with this amazing community. And in the beginning it was Nordic Barista Cup with some crazy milk cappuccino foam chemistry, but that's many years ago. And now we are here with another project that we can't really tell you anything, because but we will do that later today. But we is Jesper and I. So if you haven't heard about us, it's we are Coffee Mind with focus on roasting and sensory evaluation. And it's Jesper and Ida, both from Copenhagen University, graduated with a master in sensory science. And then I don't know really how to put myself in 3 sentences, but it's something with science and something with coffee, and with coffee roasting. So I'm the founder of Coffee Mind, and has been part of this coffee thing for many years. And we work with education, research and consultancy in the coffee business, and we are very involved in the CA and Roasters Guild and all that. So we are pushing the community, hopefully, or we are trying to do that at least. So today we're going to do something a little bit different in the sense that you're going to do a cupping where you are asked to bracket out your opinion. Because we are going to do some research data together, where you'll get some samples. That's not necessarily the best green coffee you've ever had, nor is it the best roast profiles you've tasted, but it's the difference between the samples. It's your skills in identifying the difference between the samples in terms of the descriptors that are given to you, that will give you your performance or will create some good data. So that was just a brief introduction to what we're going to do before we can say anything more. But Jesper will give you a bit more deep introduction to these things before we can reveal more this afternoon.
I think I have this one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, does it work?
Yeah, that's probably only for the camera, right? So
Okay.
you need both.
Okay,
so you
so I
are
need this one.
decently mic'd up.
Does this thing work? Okay, yeah, so for today we'll just do, as Morten said, a short introduction because we can't really tell you too much about this project. We'll do a short calibration session and then we'll move on to the cupping in here. Just to sort of set the, to give you some information about what we're doing here, we have different methods in sensory science, so we would sometimes look at, is there even a difference between the, for example, coffees that we're tasting? That's a difference test. Then we can look into how we can describe these differences. That's more like a descriptive analysis. And then finally there are the affective tests. That's where you evaluate whether these differences are good or bad. So for today we'll do a descriptive analysis, and that's basically trying to see if we can make all of you the best tasting machine possible in order to create sort of an image about how these coffees taste. So it's not about, like Morten said, it's not about how good they are, it's about how they taste and how they are different. Okay. So yeah, basically, descriptive sensory analysis is a quantification of taste, you could say. So we can compare the taste of different things, and we can run it through statistical analysis in order to prove these differences. It's usually done with a lot of panel training, so you could have days or even weeks of training leading up to an event like this. But today we'll do it a little bit shorter. We'll have 15 minutes. We'll do it as good as we can. And another thing is that it's blinded, so I will not tell you anything about what we are tasting in here. They will all be labeled with 3-digit codes. Yes, and again, descriptive, not hedonic. Please do not think too much about if it's strange tasting coffee. Try to see if you can describe why it is strange. Is it extremely bitter? Is it extremely acidic? Or what's going on with this one? Here are just some images to sort of show you how we, for example, could do it in a university setting. Normally you would have a lot more reference material. I prepared some things for you over here that we'll taste in a minute. But these are actually something that you would normally develop as a group. So you would have a discussion like down here, and you would agree on how can we describe the differences between these coffees, and you would select reference material based on the common discussion. So it's a group effort. And then finally you would do the evaluation in these sort of booths where you are completely isolated. It looks very boring in these rooms, and that's because you are meant to be completely isolated, and you shouldn't be influenced by any sort of distraction. So that's an important point also. When we go in here, please do not talk to each other about the things that you perceive. Try to focus on what you are perceiving and do your evaluation by yourself. Yes. So the thing with the evaluation will be done on an online form that I will show you in a second. You will have all these pre-made descriptors, which we will ask you to rate from 1 to 15, so from nothing to a lot. And they will all be, as I said, labeled with 3-digit codes. So please make sure that you have the right code on the coffee and the right code here. And then please try to use the entire scale, because that's a thing that's also a little bit different here, that we would like to see you using the entire scale for just these coffees. So even though there might not be a coffee that's extremely acidic, we would like you to see if you can rank these coffees on acidity, so to fill out the whole scale with just the samples that you're tasting in here. Does that make sense? Yes, so try to see if you can forget anything about previously tasted coffees. Just focus on the ones that you're tasting today. Yes, we have to group you into 6 groups. There are 6 tables in there. We would like you to be in groups of 10. There are reference material over here that I would like you to taste, and we'll have some coffees in a second. So if someone could help me maybe to move out the tables a little bit so we can stand around and have one of these each.